Let me do this. In that case,
if you are struggling to lose weight and all the diets and exercise you've tried haven't helped, then you're going to want to see this.
Dilusha, since you are only active and others are yet to join, I will display the case study on Singapore airport by Ron Kaufman. So just watch it. It's a very interesting one. And once it finishes, we'll start the lesson when others also join.
Thanks.
Now, there are 3,000 immigration officers who work at Changi Airport. And if you said to them, be more friendly, some of them would say, it's not my job to be friendly. I'm a border control, regulation, enforcement, government position. My job. And the officer would not be incorrect about that part of the job, but the other part of the job is to help the airport become the world's friendliest airport. So how are we going to, what are we going to do? So they came up with an idea. The airport hired a consultant who wrote the script. They wanted every immigration officer, 3,000 of them, to say to every passenger, 66 million of them, this. Good morning and welcome to the Republic of Singapore. On behalf of all my colleagues in the Immigration and Control Authority, we hope you had a nice flight and we're happy that you're here. May I see your passport, please? What do you think happened with that script? How long do you think it lasted? Not even one shift. They brought it out, gave it to the immigration officers. They looked and said, are you kidding? They said, give it a try. Good morning, welcome to the Republic of Singapore. On behalf of all immigration authority, we have your passport, please. They said, no. Please say it with meaning and emotion. Good morning. Welcome to the Republic of Singapore. On behalf of all of my colleagues in the control, we're so happy you're here. We hope you had a nice flight. May I see your passport, please? And of course, then the KPI for speed started dropping. And they realized this idea of the script, it was not workable. Maybe it was a good idea, but it wasn't real. You couldn't do it. And you could never say it 66 million times and feel it. So they got rid of it. They came up with the second idea. On every immigration computer terminal, they put a mirror facing the officer with a sticker on the mirror that said, smile! It backfired. The scores went down. They couldn't figure out what went wrong until they put video cameras out to observe what was going on. And here's what was happening. You know when you wait in line until it's your turn, and then someone looks at you and goes like this, like the immigration officer says, you're next? Yeah. At that moment, when you start walking towards the immigration officer, what often happens is that the officer maintains eye contact with you while you're walking in. But if he's got a mirror, he goes like this, and then he goes. And in the moment of disconnecting from the passenger's eye contact, unintentionally, it produced a less friendly experience for the passenger. Like, why did he look at me and then look away? What's he looking at now? Look at me again. So they took away all the mirrors. They came up with a third idea. On the immigration counter for arrival and departure at Changi Airport, you'll see a box of candy. They're mint, breath mint. And the immigration officers have now been trained that the script has only 2 words. I'm going to make all of you immigration officers now. I'm going to teach you the script. Ready? Ready? Okay. You're an immigration officer. Somebody walks up to you and you go like this. Passport. Ready, go. Very good, very good. The moment they give you the passport, you do the second word in the script. It goes like this. Sweet. Okay, ready? Everybody go. And go. Sweet. No, you have to use your hand. Here we go, here we go. Ready, go. Sweet. Do it again. Sweet. Do it again. Sweet. Do it. You 66 million times a year. But you can do it. Because all you're doing is saying, passport. And then when they hand it over, you go, sweet. The moment you say sweet, the passenger goes, oh, what's sweet? And they are distracted, so you can get your work done. Cool. Friendly score went up. Now I tell you this story because I want you guys to remember something. The first improvement idea turned out to be not workable. The second improvement idea looked like a good idea. It turned out to not be a good idea, but you would never know it until you tried it. Same thing at Al-Ansari. You want to continually improve service. You want to implement digital interfaces. You want to offer new things in the market. Great, but don't expect that every idea is going to work. Part of a culture of always stepping up is being willing to try new things, to come up with new ideas, to say, well, what about this? What about that? And then choose a few ideas to actually give a try. And then look and see what happened. And if they don't work, don't say, well, that was stupid. Let's just go back to what we were doing before. Say, great, we learned what didn't work. Now, how do we get better? How do we get better? How do we keep stepping? How do we keep stepping? Up, step by step.
Right. Good morning. I played that case study for you to learn about what happened in the Changi airport and how they converted the most kind of a rigid, little bit rude approach of the immigration officers to make it more friendly, because Singapore is a country that welcomes tourists, and they wanted to make sure that they appear friendly. But actually, when we look at our country, we are naturally friendly. But the problem is we don't have tourists. Right? So they have, as Ron Kaufman said, about 60 million tourists. And the fact is, the Singaporeans, generally, the way they speak and way they approach, it's not very, very friendly. So that is by nature, they are like that. So what he was trying to do is to change that, to make the customer feel when his first encounter of the country, the immigration officer, to give him a friendly experience. So apparently, when they were trying the scripts, they were trying the trainings and KPIs, but apparently they found it very difficult. And then what they did is, like, they made the candy available so that whoever that comes will feel a little fresh and then feel that he has been given a gift, right? So that is one thing they did. So it's a very interesting case study. If you have time, just go through it. I have just passed the link for the people who joined late, and not only that, I will invite you to look at all the videos of Ron Kaufman, because those are very nice videos which actually makes you a better service personnel. Right, with that, let us start the session today. Today we are going to talk about CRM and IT. So it is IT-enabled CRM. Now, in very simple sense, if you really look at the bank sector, we are dealing with customers most of the time. Right? Without customers, there is nothing that we can talk about, because we are a service organization. And if you really look at it, when you have few customers, it's easy for you to deal with them, because you will know them by name. Now, let's say you have about 10 customers, you know them by their name, you know their requirement, and you can certainly customize whatever you offer to meet their requirements. But when the number starts to grow from 10 to 50, 50 to 100, right, 100 to 150, 150 to 200, now like you had the interaction with 10 people, you will find it difficult to have interactions with 300 people or 200 people. To know them personally, to know their desires, to customize products for them, it becomes very difficult for you. And when it grows to hundreds of thousands, and then when it goes to millions, it is even difficult. Okay? So you find that it is not possible for you to maintain human relationships with the customers in order to understand them, in order to provide them solutions that they feel are personalized. So therefore, to bridge this gap of handling large amount of customers, yet not losing the relationship, we have a supporter, or we have a facilitator that will support us in doing that. That is called IT, information technology, right? So information technology is not CRM, as I have told you earlier. It is a supporter to do our CRM activities. So CRM is all about building relationships and nurturing relationships and profiting out of it. So in order to do that, we can use IT as an enabler, right? So this is how IT is coming to the CRM picture, right? So IT and business personnel need to understand each other and has to work together to create innovative technologies and support the idea of CRM, right? Because if you, as I told you in the previous session, if you leave the CRM to IT people, they will not understand how to do it. Because if you look at IT, they are more linear thinking, so they may not, they will look at logics, right? But they may not be able to see from the customer's point of view and marketing point of view. So therefore, the business person who is actually interested about building relationships and benefiting out of it should go in line with the customer, with the IT people, in order to make it customer oriented or customer friendly, and ensure that the customer will have a better experience. So the IT should be looked at as a strategic enabler. So IT can support you in different phases of CRM. First one is to gather data, gather information about the customers. So whenever they visit, whatever they do by using cameras, using mics, using digital technology, you can capture customer feedback or customer interactions. So even you may have, I think I have shown you even last time, even when a customer walks into a shop, looking at his eye movements, looking at how many minutes he has been spending looking at a particular product, right, where he goes first, all these are captured, and then you understand, okay, when a customer comes to the store, these are the things he looks for, and this is where he goes first, whether he turns right or whether he will take a bag, all those things can be captured, right? So using various devices, you can capture the requirements and the behavior patterns of the customer, which in turn will help you to analyze it in the back office and understand the customer behavior, right? So once you gather data from different touch points with the customer, analyze it and come to understand the behavior pattern of the customer and the requirements of the customer, you will be able to customize your products to the customer, so that the customer will feel that you are more personal, you are providing more personal service than others, right? So the next phase of the CRM technology is to support you with end user data presentation and manipulation at the front office, right? So once you gather data, analyze, then the data can be presented, data can be used, and then when the customer comes to your organization, you understand his behavior and you can manipulate, right? You can manipulate because you know he likes this, he doesn't like this. So you will avoid what he doesn't like you will provide what he likes. You know that he's a price conscious customer, so you will not bother presenting him premium products, but you will present him value for money. Sometimes you will know that the customer is a very prestige oriented or seek for the prestige. So then you will not offer him the value for money, but you will offer him premium products. Right? So when the customer comes to the counter, even from the front office teller to the accounts opening officer to the call center agent and the salesperson, branch manager, even your senior managers, all of them will have one profile of the customer and one approach to the customer, so that customer will feel that he's getting a superb service across the branch network, irrespective of who is serving. Right? Now, this is one of the ways to avoid the discrepancy or the problem that we identify in service management, that is keeping the consistency of service quality. Because we understand the service quality changes from person to person, place to place, and even in the same bank, one branch will treat a person differently, another branch will treat a person differently, and the call center will treat the person completely differently. But CRM can actually support you to reduce this problem by providing the profile of the customer to everybody in the organization, irrespective of which touch point he reaches. Right? So the new digitalization platforms. Now earlier, when the CRM happens, it happened manually, but then we went to ECRM, where the electronic devices has been used to make CRM activity, do CRM activities, even from very traditional ones like the telephone to SMS to emails, faxes. So early stages they were using it. Then it moved to the digital era. So digital era, now we are talking about social CRM and artificial intelligence, things like that, where we try to use them to do our relationship management activities. So CRM delivery processes, if you look at it, those are processes with direct customer contact. For example, it's like you will generate a campaign, then management, sales management, service management, complaint management, etc. Right? So CRM analysis and support processes are processes that consolidate and analyze the customer knowledge that has been collected in other CRM processes. So in the initial stages, you collect data, and then you also have analysis function, right? Then the findings that you get from the analysis function is passed on to the delivery process in order to make a better experience to the customer, right? So the key role of the IT is to support in this process to manage large amount of customer data effectively and efficiently with less effort and time. So when you look at CRM and application of IT, you can look at CRM and understand it in three perspectives. That is operational CRM, analytical CRM, and collaborative CRM. So operational CRM, if you really look at it, it is that supports to improve efficiency of the CRM delivery and support processes, right? So more like solutions for day-to-day operation of the business, such as the sales, service automation, things like that. So it focuses on the day-to-day operation that the business is involved with in delivering its products and services to customers. If you look at analytical CRM means they are basically to support in gathering, storing, and analyzing data and the customer knowledge in order to do something different or personalized offers. Right? So here we are talking about data warehousing, data mining, data analytics, things like that. So analytical CRM will support you to gather knowledge about the customer and understand the trends. Then you have collaborative CRM, where we look at all the aspects of the business and see how to communicate customers in a more friendly manner to build relationships and capitalize on the relationships. Right? So you will look at your entire business in a holistic manner and see how you will collaborate the operation so that you can provide a better experience to the customer. The old approach, if you really look at it, it is used to interact with customers when they come in to meet you. So that is a very reactive process that we had, right? So when the customer comes to us, we talk to them and we react, right? We try to understand and we react to the customer. But the modern approach is not reactive. It's not going to wait until the customer comes to you. It's a very proactive approach where you try to understand the customer before he comes to you, right? So by having your CRM software and linking yourself with social media, you will analyze the customer first, and even he becomes your customer prospect, you will know much more than earlier about the customer. Right? So that even before he becomes a customer, you will provide him whatever he likes, whatever he prefers, what he is searching. Right? Now this became possible only because of IT. Right? Now, for example, if you may find that if you really search a particular product in the internet, suddenly when you go to Facebook, you are getting advertisements related to those. Now this is pretty strange, right? Now if you have passed or had a conversation with a friend even, or if you have put something on your wall on a particular requirement, you will start getting emails and messages related to those. Now the question is how? Because in social media and in the digital world, whatever you do is generally not private. Because maybe by yourself, you have given consent for them to listen to you, listen to your conversation, or to track you. So basically, whatever you do in the digital world, it will be tracked. It will be tracked. Right? And basically, based on the tracking, they will trigger advertisements where you find it's very personalized. For example, if you have been talking to one of your friends about building a house, suddenly you will see in the Facebook that you are getting as messages or getting popping up advertisements related to a house. If you have searched in the website about pillows, you will get a advertisement where there is an offer of pillows. Now, how these are happening? That is all because of the development of technology. So organizations are not now reactive; they are more proactive in understanding and offering their products to the customer because of the IT platforms. So if you really look at eCRM, there has been several definitions. The simplest definition is using electronic channels and methods to reach customers and build relationships. So if you really look at Kelly 2003 defined it as the marketing activities, tools and techniques delivered over the internet using technologies such as websites and email, data capture, data warehousing and data mining with a specific aim to locate, build and improve long-term customer relationships to enhance their individual potential, right? So if you really look at it, this part is what is CRM, right? What we have already learned. That is to identify, develop, and improve long-term customer relationship to enhance their individual potential. So what is coming to add to it is this: the marketing activities, tools and techniques delivered over the internet. Right? Or I would rather prefer to replace this word internet with technology, because you are not only talking about internet, but you are also talking about intranet. Now, internet is the web where you connect with external parties. Intranet is the network inside your organization, right? So, in ECRM, you are connecting with outer world or the customers with the internet. At the same time, you gather, share, analyze a lot of data in the intranet, that is inside the organization. So in that case, here internet, if you add intranet also, that is fine, right? But then I can't change definitions of others, right? But if they use technology, it would have been much better, or else they have to use internet and also intranet. So let's look at another definition. ECRM is defined as an information system through which organizations using various electronic touch points, such as emails, web browser, etc., can create long-lasting mutual relationships with their customers over the internet, right? So here again, they are talking about the same thing, how you will manage electronic touch points. Primary objective is ECRM is not only to bring about improvements in the marketing sector, but also to enhance the effectiveness of the organization in developing and managing customer relationships, improving customer service, and retaining them to increase their profitability. So this is from Adlin, right? With the help of ECRM, the banks are able to reduce transaction costs for the customers. Now, these are some research findings, right, I have taken with regard to the banking sector. Now, banking sector, as you know, is a sector that has adopted ECRM in a larger scale, right? That is because they are dealing with millions of customers. They have large amount of branches, network of branches, and obviously when they deal millions of customers and with 200 branches, they need technology to synchronize, basically coordinate the whole process, right? So they have moved into ECRM, and it has been giving benefits to the banking sector. So if you really look at the research findings as to what they have found as the benefits, you first find that ECRM has helped to reduce transaction costs. Now, obviously, this is true because when electronic CRM provides you better understanding about the customer, like those days, you don't have to go to books, ledgers, and then turn pages and pages, find files, store files about the customer, and take long time to understand the customer. Now, when you want to approve a loan, it's a very simple thing, right? You gather the history of the customer with your systems, and then you get the crib reports, and you give the loan. And applying for a loan or applying for an account or to open an account, to do a fund transfer is no more cumbersome, right? So with the technology, they can immediately, with less time, using a banking app, using internet banking, using web platforms, they are able to connect with the customer and get their transactions done, so that they don't have to travel, they don't have to wait in queues. So all the costs related to transactions have reduced with the introduction of technology, right? And because even now the eKYC is a bigger way of reducing transaction costs, right? Now today, when you want to open an account, you don't have to visit the branch. You can go through the eKYC process and open. Now recently, I opened an account at one of the share brokers. It was very easy because I got a link from them, and I have to fill my details. And when I was filling my details, it guided me with the app. And finally, it wanted me to upload my NIC, which I uploaded. And then it wanted me to upload the billing proof. And then after that, whatever the savings account, passbook page or whatever. And then they said, okay, our agent will call you for an appointment. Right? So it's an online appointment where I have to show them my NIC, the originals what I have uploaded, and have a chat with the person, and then my account is opened. So it's very simple. Now, if not, I had to fill forms, and then I had to visit the organization, and the experience is so cumbersome, right? And today I'm actually sitting at my house and opening accounts, right? So this has reduced the cost that is involved with the whole process, right? For the bank and at the same time for the customer. The banks can connect and provide their customers with personalized products and services, and can solve their problems on real-time basis. You now, even in that, now the banks also have it. I'm taking from a different sector. Even in that particular application, there is a bot. Right? So it says the organization name, and I am the bot. Right? Let's say I am the X bot. X is the company name, right? X bot. If you have any questions, you can ask me. So I can ask basic questions where the bot will give me answers and give me guidance, right? So that is there. It's basically the chatbot is something where the banks are now working on, and some banks already have it. I know the Sampath have it. I think the NDB also have it. I don't know about the other banks. So basically, what you do is you develop frequently asked questions and answers, and put it in the computer, so that if a customer comes and asks, hey, how can I get my statement, the bot can answer. Rather than trying to call a call center, wait in the queue and reach an agent, they can immediately type, how can I get my statement? The bot will give you the answer. It has gone into into a virtual form where the bot is there, and you go and ask the question also, and they give an answer to you. Right? So that is there. I think I experienced it. I don't know. I have not experienced others. So you go in front of the bot, and then there is a picture of a nice lady, and you say when you go in front, it detects you and say good morning, and you say, yeah, good morning. How can I get my statement? The answer will come. The lady will say, okay, you can get your statement. Likewise, it will go on, right? And it will talk. And then with the virtual teller machines, okay, now you can connect with the customer care agent or the back office instantly. And now the call centers are moving to more video calls, WhatsApp calls, Viber calls. So those are coming in, right? So with these kind of improvements in the digital era, the relationship or the conversation, interaction with the organization will become more easy, and customers will find it very easy for them to resolve their problems. Right? Right? And the organizations also will be able to capture customer requirements with the digital technology and understand them and build that research gap. Remember the gap model. In the gap model, the first gap we talked about is the research gap. What organization thinks customer want, organization එක හිතන්නේ මොනවද customer ඕනේ කියලා, සහ what exactly customer wants. customer ඇත්තටම ඕන දේ. මේ දෙක අතර ඝට්ටනය නිසා තමයි වැරදි product නිර්මාණය වෙන්නේ. So customer want one thing, organization thinks he wants this, and then the problem happens, right? It's like, for example, you think your girlfriend needs a barbecue party, but whereas she's a vegetarian. So if you don't understand whether your girlfriend is a vegetarian or likes barbecue, you preparing a barbecue party won't help you, right? So therefore, essentially, for an organization, they have to first know what the customer wants and prepare products, whereas now it is not happening because the management may not know what customer really want. So that is the first gap that we talked about, knowledge gap, right? So I think I last time gave you all a question also on the gap model, and I expected you to come up with answers today. So if we have time, let's see whether you have answered it, so that I can, like last time, I can tell you whether you are going in the right direction, right? So in very simple sense, if you look at it again, With the help of ECRM, the banks are able to reduce transaction costs for the customer. The bank can connect and provide their customer with personalized products because they understand the customer and services and can solve their problems on real-time basis. Next one, as bank introduces ECRM initiatives, their customers perceive that their bank provide them with more customized product services, up-to-date and reliable information about the latest and existing product services. Right. So when banks introduce ECRM initiatives and use technology to gather customer knowledge and then develop their products and services or improve themselves, the customer feel they are getting more customized products. Why? Because the bank is now developing processes, products, providing services in a way that they like, they want, right? So when you provide that, the customer feels okay. When if you take your girlfriend to a vegetarian restaurant, she may get surprised and ask you, how do you know that I'm a vegetarian? So you might say, I know it. Then when someone says, I know who you are and I know what you want and provide it, then you get really thrilled, right? And your relationship is built, right? With ECRM, customers can interact with their banks anytime, anywhere, thereby providing convenience to the customer. So the ECRM is kind of electronic methods of reaching customer. So that those are electronic channels will allow you to reach your bank from anywhere, right? At any time that you want, so that you don't feel disconnected at any point or feel that you are having a barrier in terms of geographical location or the time frames, right? So that will provide a better experience. Banks today provide various ECRM tools to help their customers to interact, communicate with their banks anytime, anywhere. Now, you know, the traditional methods are still there. That is the calls, the call centers, and then the emails, right? Emails, and then the fax, right? So these are channels that the customer can send information. Now today it has moved to a different era, whereas now they have the mobile apps also. So from the mobile apps also you can connect, and the banks are moving to WhatsApp video calls and Viber, where they can connect with the customer face to face and solve their problem, support them, right? The ECR actually has moved banks from the traditional manual approach to a more electronic approach, and then look at their electronic banking as the preferred channel to manage client relationships, right? So that is easier for the bank and much better for the customer also. If you really look at another research, the ECRM construct highlighting customers, product, services, transaction security, privacy, alternative payment methods, problem solving, online feedback, and FAQs as 6 major constructs in determining the effectiveness of ECRM in the banking industry. So what he has done here, he has looked at what are the key factors that will make ECRM more effective when it comes to the banking sector. So what are the things he have found? First one, customized products and services. So what it says here is when you go into ECRM, you will be able to develop, understand the customer and develop customized products and services for the customer. And when you do that, it becomes very effective, so that the customer feels that you are supporting them and you are very personally involved with them. Then the next important thing in the ECRM is transaction security and privacy. So this is also very important. When you go into ECRM, you need to make sure that you have applied the required security and privacy, because the customers value privacy and security to a greater sense when it comes to their financial transactions. Then you can also introduce alternative payment methods when it comes to the ECRM in order to make the customer enjoy your services in a very convenient manner, right? Then problem solving. Now, this is another important aspect in ECRM where you have to have electronic methods to solve problems rather than manual interventions all the time when you handle large number of customers. So when you have large number of customers, for example, million, for example, for a card center, they might have 300,000, 400,000 customers. For a branch, they will still have over 10,000, 20,000 customers. So in order to solve their problems, you can't have manual processes running. You need to have some online processes and basically things like Chatbot and then frequently asked questions. The Chatbot in terms of a robo or in terms of reply via web service, right? And then online feedback, where the customers can give you feedback about the service, and FAQs, right, where they can clarify things. So these are identified as 6 major constructs in determining effectiveness of ECRM in the banking industry. Again, another research, it says that ECRM is a significant and important predictor of customer loyalty, as proper facilitation of ECRM services will create a memorable experience for the customer, and customers feel delighted, which will enhance their loyalty towards their service providers. Now, this is where the link comes with the ECRM and loyalty. And when you really look at the research done on that area, whether ECRM is actually contributing to improve loyalty, you have always found a very positive correlation with ECRM, effective ECRM strategies and loyalty, right? Because ECRM actually generates a very convenient method of connecting with the customer and create memorable experiences. Again, if you really look at another research on similar grounds, UMA conducted research on the relationship between ECRM. Under this, he has looked at personalized services, payment methods, problem solving, online feedback, transaction privacy, FAQs, and customer loyalty. So the relationship, if you really look at it in a very, removing the brackets, this is the one, right? So relationship between ECRM and customer loyalty. I advocated that if the banks provide better ECRM service to their customers, it will increase their profitable customer base, and customers will be recommending their bank to their friends and relatives, which will further lead to good word of mouth, right? So this research is another research which have proved how important ECRM for the banking sector, where they have found that when you implement good ECRM activities, it will contribute directly for the profitability and loyalty. Again, another research. So they investigated the association between ECRM, customer loyalty, and financial performance of the banking industry. And they found that appropriate implementation of ECRM would enhance the loyalty of the customers and also increases the financial performance of the bank, right? So this one, again, this research has supported our thinking that ECRM will help to enhance loyalty and to improve profitability. Again, another one, as bank introduces ECRM initiatives, their customers perceive that their bank provide them with more customized products, services, up-to-date and reliable information about the latest and existing product services. So when there is ECRM, what happens is the organization understands the customer and customize the products to suit them. So when the organization is doing that, from customer's perspective, customer පැත්තෙන් හිතනවා මේ බැංකුව මේ මටම හරියන products හදලා දෙනවා. right? මේ අලුත්ම information මට දෙනවා. right? මේ බැංකුව මේ මට හරියටම මට serve කරනවා. දැන් ඒක වෙන්නේ ඇයි? Because through the ECRM activities, you have gathered information, you have analyzed and you have understood the customer proactively. Right? මෙහෙම කරපුවම මේ perception එක හදන්න අපිට පුළුවන්. right? මේ විදිහට අපිට perception එකක් හදන්න පුළුවන්. right? Then it is found, another research is found that all 6 dimensions, මොකක්ද 6 dimensions? Customized product services, transaction security privacy, alternative payment methods, problem solving, online feedback and FAQs have a significant positive relationship with customer loyalty. Right? So මේ areas ECRM එක හරහා ඔයගොල්ලෝ බැලුවම ඒ areas improve වෙනකොට those are having a significant positive relationship with customer loyalty. In a very nutshell, summary form, we can say ECRM provides input to strengthening the customer relationship. Input, right? So because it gathers all the information and provides you input to input about the customer knowledge. ECRM contributes to higher level of personalization in consumer service. So with the higher level of knowledge you have gathered through the inputs, you will be able to analyze and personalize offers and services. ECRM provides better quality for a bank, brand positioning and other services via online. Right? So when you have the online interaction with the customer and provide a super service with to the customer, then that will eventually support your brand positioning and other services. ECRM contributes to creation of bank's image and reputation. Right? Because when you get involved with ECRM and try to understand and personalize your approach to the customer, that will improve service quality because you are going to improve both speed, you're going to reduce cost, right? And then you're going to understand and provide more personalized service. So the service quality will improve. Then the innovativeness will be obvious. Right? You have more interactions with the customer. You will simplify operations with the technology, right? So that eventually the image and the reputations of the bank will improve. So this is what will happen in a nutshell. So a possible question for your exam is to discuss the importance or discuss the benefits of ECRM, where you need to discuss how the traditional CRM has been replaced with ECRM today, and it has supported the banks. So the next level is the social CRM. When you look at social CRM is the integration of social media channels into CRM platforms. So social CRM is using social media services, techniques and technology to enable organizations to engage with their customers. Right? So basically, if you really look at it, you can talk about social networking sites like Twitter, FB, WhatsApp, then Facebook, Instagram. Give me a second. Things like that when it comes to social CRM. So long time back, if you really look at it, banks were really afraid to move on to these platforms. But then afterwards, they realized the importance of the platform, and now almost all the banks are in these social media platforms. But remember, social media platforms, as much as it will help you to gain the benefits related to it, it is also a kind of a very dangerous area to be in, because in social media, you can't be passive, you can't be one way. You need to be having two-way communication and 24-hour monitoring of the platform. Because in social media platform, there can be certain comments being made, certain allegations, certain negative, detrimental comments that will move to thousands of people instantly. So generally, when you move on to the social media platform, you have to hire a firm that will support you in managing those platforms, where those firms will monitor all the comments that are coming, and then when they see a negative comment, they will immediately reply. They will immediately give a reply saying, we acknowledge your comment and we will contact you, kind of a immediate reply. And they will, first thing they do is they will hide it. They will hide it or they will remove it, and then they will inform the bank and try to solve it by getting a feedback, right? And certain feedback they can give in public posting, but certain feedback, what they will do is they will contact the customer and give. So this is how the operation happens. So you have to have a PR agency. The PR agency will monitor these social platforms, and when there is a negative comment, they will immediately reply, give a primary reply, basically hide the comment, and then forward it to the back office, that is to the bank, and the bank will look at it, then provide an answer, which can be either posted public, or if not, they will privately contact the customer and solve it, right? So that is the mechanism. If there is a positive comment, that also will be managed by the PR agency, whereas they will acknowledge it and appreciate it. In the meantime, they will pass it back to the back office for them to know it and understand that the customers are happy with whatever the initiative taken. So that mechanism is there, and it has to be. You can't manage it by having your own employees inside. You have to give it to some professional organization who can manage it if you are in social media. Because if you are in social media, you can't be passive. You have to always be very active. Because here in traditional CRM, you push your content to the customers. You start conversations with the customer. But in social media, most of the time, customers pull information from you, and they start conversations. So when the customer starts to converse with you, start a conversation, you can't hide. You have to reply, because if you don't reply, then your inefficiency or the image will get damaged in public, right? So therefore, this is a very critical area to be in, but you have to go to that level if you are in the business today. So if you really look at the key benefits of social CRM, which can be a question for you, right? First one is engagement. Now, in the social media platform, the company is getting engaged with the customer, and you are providing the facility for the customer to engage with you. So companies gain the ability to engage with customers and prospects on social media directly and influence behavior real time, right? So you have the ability to connect with the customers and basically influence their behavior by understanding them, right? And the banks have now gone into levels to the level of basically profiling the customers in the social media, and then listening to the conversations of the customers, right? And getting those benefits available so that they can send them the required products. For example, if a person is talking about buying a house, they will pop up a housing loan message for you. and you may not know why it is popping up, and you will feel me mama housing loan එක ගැන හිතුවගම මේ බැංකුව මට message එකක් එවුවා මාරයි කියලා වටි කරා. ඒක මාරයි වෙන්නේ because the bank has basically used the social media to track you and get your information, right? So the companies can engage with the customer easily, develop conversations, and the customer can also engage with the organization. Like in the old days, you can't do this too. Old days, you have to go and meet the branch manager, branch people. Even if you want to blame them, you have to go and you have to spend some money and go there, take your time and do it, right? But today, if you are angry, you can in a second you can say it to the world, right? And to the organization. Then the social CRM helps you to provide better customer service. Right? Companies can respond to customer complaints, compliments, and questions in real-time basis through social media, right? So the customers will post certain negative comments, positive comments, so you can reply, right? You can engage with the customer, a conversation, right? So that is possible. So that service will happen when the customer wants. Whenever customer wants, the service will be provided, whereas you will provide them clarifications, answers to their complaints, right, and questions. Then you can also have social selling, right? And this happens your sales professionals find prospects or basically leads using social media.
It's 10 o'clock.
And where you will track the behavior of the customer in the social media, social platforms, and then find prospects, right? So social selling is another benefit of social CRM. Then customer insights. Basically, with the social CRM, you will be able to understand your customer sentiments, satisfaction, and then suggestions, improvements, their change of behavior patterns, customer trends very effectively. Because they are going to engage with you, they are going to interact with you in the social platforms. So that helps you to understand them very well, so that you will be able to adapt yourself to meet the requirements or the demands of the customer or the changing trends. So this is how social CRM is going to benefit you. So this is a potential, very possible question where the question will be raised to discuss how social CRM will support a bank, right? Now, to go into details, now we have just discussed some of the benefits from customer point of view. Now, if you go into details, you can also talk about process improvements, because you get feedback. For example, your customers will say, applying for a loan from your bank is very cumbersome, right? Or they might post, I had a very bad experience in applying a loan. So with that, the others also will start commenting, I have also failed, I have also failed, this is horrible. And so the bank is listening to the social media and the customers. And the bank will see, okay, there is some problem with our processes, because there's a chat, there's a conversation built in the social network among the customers about our process. So we have to relook at it, right? So that will help. Then again, the customers will say things like this. For example, they say, I went to X bank, they asked me to go through these steps. I went to Y bank and it was very simple, there was a mobile app. I went to Y bank, there came an agent. I went to Y bank, there was online KYC. So I enjoyed X over Y. I enjoyed Y bank over X. So now, if the X bank is looking at it, then they will see, okay, our customers have found something better, something very innovative with another competitor. So what is it? They can explore. Okay, now our customers are unable to visit us. They want to open their accounts at home, from home. So what shall we do? So likewise, the listening to the social networks helps you to gather customer sentiments real time, right? And then see how you can improve your processes to meet that. Then you have productivity gain. Right? Social media will provide a lot of insights about prospects and customers. Now, for example, if you open up a FB link to apply for loans or credit cards, you will get, I would say, you will get prospects for about more than 5 agents. So it's like you having a link, you having this social media links for the prospects to reach your bank is like you are having 5 sales agents. That is the strength, that is the value, right? So basically, instead of employing 5 sales agents, you can deploy social media based basically prospecting, which will save you money. So you can basically source or basically identify and gather prospects from Facebook, Instagram, and other social media applications, and it is almost equal to putting 5 sales agents. This is theoretical, and both I have experienced it practically also, right? And company can pull a lot of data from the social network and provide it to support sales teams, right? So that is also possible. For example, in simple sense, there can be certain events which you see in the FB where you can pull data related to the event and the people who are going, because when you create an event, there will be, you can also see who are the people going, right? And then provide it to your sales personnel to approach that particular event and canvas. So these are possible, right? So you get a lot of productivity gains. Then improve internal communication. So when you have CRM systems, all staff members will be able to communicate very easily about the customer matters and understand the customers, so that there will be less miscommunication, confusion, and it increases collaboration. The social CRM also helps you to stay proactive, right? So you will be able to monitor customer sentiments, trends, understand the changing needs of the customer, and engage with the customer or customer groups in a more personalized manner. Then social CRM also helps you to improve research and development efforts. Research and development teams can watch customer conversations, understand changing needs, unaddressed needs, basically needs that they talk about in the social media which are not yet been addressed. Before the eKYC came, there were conversations in the social platforms, like in the quarantine period, how can we go to banks to open accounts? Why can't banks have some different mechanism? Why are they asking us to come to branches? Now, these are conversations that are going, right? So based on that, you understand there is an unaddressed need. What is that? That is to have digital KYC. So you develop it and you press the regulators, and finally you get the approval, right? So now it is addressed, right? And also you might see weaknesses of competitors, because when the customers start talking about your competitors, whether they talk in a hostile manner, whether they appreciate them, or whether they blame them, these are all visible in the social networks. So you can understand your competitors, their positions, and the sentiments related to your competitor actions from the customers, right? And also gather recommendations. Now, all these things will come to you at a very low cost, rather than you doing a research, spending money on a research. Right? So that is another benefit. Then you have competitive intelligence. So basically understand the customer sentiments towards your competitors, also to identify actions and strategies by tracking the behavior of your competitors in the social platforms. So another thing is that with the social CRM, you'll be able to build deep relationships, right? Because now, unlike in the other situations or in the history in the traditional system, here you can interact with the customer more digitally, right? And then also understand the customer profile, his changes. For example, a customer who has joined the social network as a student may keep improving his profile. So that is trackable, right? So he will become a executive, he will become a manager, he will become a DGM. So you can track his profile and the status, right? And you can look at his status. Sometimes I also have some of my very good customers in my FB, right? Generally, I treat most of my customers as friends. So they are sometimes in my FB, and I see their important events. I see their birthdays. I see when they go abroad. I see their anniversaries. I see their achievements. And sometimes I communicate with them when I see those, so that they become very, very attached to us, emotionally attached to us, right? So that is possible. That you can, now I'm doing it as an individual, and even as a bank, the bank can do it, right? So that the customer will feel the bank is with me, and he's actually tracking. And sometimes when they are having, for example, very recently I had a customer who has posted that he's suffering from corona, COVID-19, and I sent him some pills, which is actually prepared, done for corona, the COVID-19, right? And I told him that if he need any support to get any medicine, I can support him. He was overwhelmed. He was overwhelmed, right? And like he's in trouble, and I have basically called him, and I have done some favor for him, whereas he never expected it. Because from the bank itself, I had some contacts with some people who are developing these indigenous medicines which are supporting COVID-19. And I was able to support him because I know the party who's producing, and I know the customer, and I would say, okay, if you need this, I can support. Whereas those pills are not available in the market. So the customer was overwhelmed, right? So those are the things you can do with the social CRM. If in the traditional CRM method, you won't find those, right? And even congratulatory messages, you can basically, sometimes I see their children, graduating children getting married, right? So basically, after some time, you will move to a level where you are not only a customer and a banker, but you become part of their family or a friend, right? So if you are thinking it is not possible, I am telling you it is really possible. So certain levels, I have also done it personally, and it is practical too, right? Then AI-powered CRM. Now this is the latest talk about talk in the town, AI, right? So artificial intelligence can really support you with CRM. For example, artificial intelligence can really help you even to take instant decisions rather than taking 1 or 2 days. For example, if customer has sent you a check, and whether to overdraw the account or not, whether to provide a casual loan or not, today it's a manual decision for you. But with the artificial intelligence, without your involvement, system itself will be able to decide whether to overdraw or not. Right? That is possible. Now, if someone is applying for a credit card limit increase, without an agent, without a credit officer, whether to give that increase or not, the system can define. And when the customer is doing a transaction over the limit, whether to authorize it or not, that also can be done through AI. So like I just gave you a few examples. Likewise, when you give the parameters and help the system to learn the behavior patterns, then the system can immediately give solutions to the customers rather than you getting involved. So when you have to get involved only for the complex matters, the simple matters, the AI, the artificial intelligence will support you to solve it, right? Without you getting involved. And that will make the decisions, the reaction of the organization quicker, so that the customer will not feel a delay, right? For example, you are trying to do a transaction. Let's say that you take your credit card and you try to go and do a transaction. So when you swipe it, you are over the limit, right? So your limit is 100,000. Now you are doing a transaction, and with the transaction, the limit will cross to 110,000. Now today what you have to do is you have to call and then get an approval. Sometimes you get declined, you get embarrassed with the merchant, and the bank also doesn't know without you referring whether to give you that or not. So bank also have to do an analysis, right? People have to go through your profile, past history, all sort of things, and then by the time they approve, let's say more than 1 hour, 2 hours, you are at the merchant outlet, so you have to throw your goods and go away. But you can develop artificial intelligence to support such situations. When a good customer swipes 110,000, above the limit 10,000, the artificial intelligence will go through the customer profile much quickly and match it with the pre-given criteria and see whether this customer can be given 10,000 more or not, and decide to give. So if they decide to give instantly within a second, the transaction will get approved and the customer will not feel it. And you will send a message to the customer, we are pleased to inform you that we have approved 10,000 over limit for you as a measure of goodwill. Please make amendment to settle the excess balance. Now when you get such a message, you will feel overwhelmed. Right? So that is possible with artificial intelligence, right? So apart from that, certain benefits like provide customized solutions. Now with artificial intelligence, you will be able to track the customer and say, okay, what are the likings of this customer? What this customer, where this customer generally patronize, right? What profile is he? All sort of things can be categorized. So when you are giving him an offer, that offer also can be customized. For an example, if he is a person who's going to supermarket like Keels, rather than you giving a voucher or a discount at Cargill's, you can send him a discount at Keels when he's shopping. Right? So let's say that he has gone Sunday with his family to shop in Keels, and then when he's shopping, suddenly he gets a message. We are delighted to offer you that 20% for your shopping today. Right? He will feel, how can this happen? At the meantime, you have sent another message to a person in Cargill's. We are delighted to offer you 20% at Cargill's. Now he is not getting Keels offer. Right? So likewise, you can, I gave you a simple example, likewise you can think of, okay, you can give some very personalized messages so that he feels, okay, this message is for me, I got this, right? And it is possible, right? And when you look at certain customers, you can find that they are suffering from certain diseases, right? And certain customers, you know that they are traveling every December. Right? Certain customers, you know, they are going to an hotel every April, right? So you can basically give them an offer where they really value it, rather than you sending them 1,000 offers where they don't patronize. Right? So that is possible. Customized solutions are possible with AI. Then predict customer behavior and influence them. For example, you can predict, okay, when this customer will go abroad. Now there are predictions happening in these are not, I'm not telling hypothetical situations, these are practical, right? There are certain predictions that you take, okay, this customer will go abroad. There's a 90% possibility, there's an 80% possibility that he will go abroad during this period. So you can take all those customers who are having more propensity to go abroad and send them a message on overseas usage, or to buy air tickets or travel insurance, right? So that is how you influence the behavior. So that when they are about to decide on their travel, and before they decide on their travel, they are getting an offer for the ticket. They are getting an offer for travel insurance. So that top of the mind recall, when they are taking the decision, it will be you. Right? So this is possible. Then provide sales leads. Right? So with the AI, you'll be able to track what the customer is searching and then provide leads. Right? So your sales agent will get a lead saying that there is this customer who is searching credit card offers. Call him. Right? And you can call him. And then basically leads like, for example, if the customer is searching for a particular product in the web, you will get suggestions immediately. Right? So that is because you have been tracked, right? And it has been provided to an organization who's selling those products, and they are sending you their details. Then support to enhance service quality. So AI actually helps you to provide solutions to the customer very quickly without manual intervention and time and effort. Right? As I told you very simply, if a customer asks for a limit increase, the AI can give instantly, whereas your credit officers will take time. So that will improve service quality. At the same time, you can basically feed information to the system and even make the system a call agent or a customer care agent. So when the customer reaches the system will first try to answer his questions. Now, these are not dreams, these are actually happening. So when you type a question, the system will understand it and provides a similar answer. Or when you talk to the system will talk to you back. Right? Now, how that is possible? Because you will program it. For example, if someone says, what are the frequent ones? For example, what is my credit card balance? A very simple question. What is my credit card balance? Now, this may be a question that has been asked from your call center agents over and over and again. Maybe your call queues are getting burdened because customers are calling you to ask, what is my balance? Very simple. So you can have a chatbot where the customer will say, what is my balance? The chatbot will give you the answer. Right? And then you can have a chatbot agent, a digital agent, where the customer will call and say, hello, tell me what is my balance? Sir, your balance is, and it will talk, right? So this is possible with AI, so that the customer doesn't have to wait in queues to reach your agents. That will enhance the service quality. So that I have a lot of other examples of that nature. I think I played you one video sometime back how AI is supporting business, right? Then support to improve share of wallet. Support to improve share of wallet, because with the AI, you will be able to understand cross-sell opportunities, upsell opportunities, and then push your products to the customer. Right? Then the final one, it will support you to manage the customer life cycle. So look at the total lifetime value of the customer and basically gather information and offer your products when it comes to different stages of his life. Because if you really look at a person, he will come to the banking industry as a child with a minor savings account. Then he becomes a teenager. Then he becomes a young adult. Then he becomes a parent. Then he becomes a senior citizen. So this whole life cycle of the customer, you'll be able to personalize, offer different products by tracking his total lifestyle and the stages digitally, rather than manually getting involved in that. Right? Now, even updating the customer. For example, now updating customer information is a key challenge, right? So now there are systems when a customer goes and update in certain place, it is automatically picked. An entire organization will have that updated information. And your digital agent, digital AI agent will generate time to time certain questions, get answers, and then update the profile continuously. It can happen in different frequencies. It can happen even like a game. right? It can happen even like a question and a reward, right? So you can say, okay, update your present employment status if it has changed and earn 10 points. Now, if you go to Daras, you can see use of AI and use of a lot of ECRM activities, right? Now, very recently, I enrolled with Daras with their promotion, and generally, I mean, there is a gem collection system. I was like looking at it. It is like a game. It will tell you, okay, browse a product, and you get 10 gems, right? And then it will say, okay, share a product with a friend, then you get 10 gems. Now, they are getting us to do, or getting us engaged with the app, so that they give us a reward also. I need to say, okay, log into the app every day. Right? Every day you join, you get 100 rupees or 10 rupees, which you can redeem when you are buying a product. So, very good customer engagement, right? So, when you, now after some time, even you don't want anything, you feel like opening it and then going through the products. And when you are doing that, you generally tend to buy, because you will see things that you want, which you have not spent time to buy, right? අපිට එහෙමව තියෙනවා, අපිට ඕනෙව තියෙනවා. නේද? අපි shopping යනවා හරි අඩුයි, වැඩ කරලා අපි ඒකින්ද ඒක ගන්නෙ නැහැ. දැන් මේකේ මොකද වෙන්නේ? ඔයා මේ නිකන් බලන් යනකොට ඔයාලට පේනවා මේක තිබ්බනම් හොඳයි. This is very good, no, right? So you buy, right? So this is actually taking you shopping every day, right? And you will start buying things that you would not buy generally, right? You will not buy generally. So you can also join Daras and experience. I'm not promoting Daras. I'm promoting their mechanism, the CRM mechanism. So you try to go there and see how they are doing it, right? So gamification is again a method. So gamification is coming into education also, because in the education also you find games, right? So there is a platform called Layup. Just go and have a look. Layup, that is a Sri Lankan based product which they are promoting globally, where they have included gamification into e-learning, right? So when you go to learn a particular subject, you are learning it with a game, right? And that is there. So these are coming into the picture. And even the banking, there can be certain games where you have to play the game and save money and then earn money, kind of thing like that. So that is also there. So in the education sector also, it is there, the gamification. And I have done an assignment also on that particular subject. So you can also have a look. Just try to go to Layup. There is a different website for them. And also you can find the e-learning and gamification. You will see the differences. So this is the future. This is the future when it comes to customer relationship management. So I would suggest that you go into this area, explore, learn, and come, because there will be certainly a question for your exam on technology side, either on AI, social CRM, or ECRM, where they will ask you the benefits and how you can use it, and some examples and kind of things like that. It will be a certain question for you, and which I feel that even whether there's a question or not, it is a very interesting area for you to learn, right? Okay, fine. So now it's about 10:30. So let's take a little bit of a break and meet up at 10:45 again. So 10:45, we have to go through the customer behavior, or understand the customer behavior, and then we can look at some questions if you have any, and then today will be the last case. No, so if you have any other questions also, you can ask from me, right? So join at 10:45. We will go through the customer behavior, right? To learn the customer behavior, right? Okay. And if you have done that answer to the question I gave last time on the service gap model, immediately after the break, we can have a chat with those who have written the answer to see whether you have done it right, right? Okay, so I have told you certain questions during my sessions that might come into the exam, so you have to keep those in mind, because when it comes to exam, it may not be the same paper, but you have to adapt to what you have learned in the class and do your research, further research on the areas that we have covered. Okay, fine. So let's break. Right. So we can start again, but I think some of them are yet to join. Anyone who has done the question? Dilshani, have you done your question the last time one on the gap management?
Yes, I wrote an answer.
Can you share it with us?
Yeah, sure. So the question was, I think, explain the gap model and application of same to improve service quality.
That's right.
Yeah, so I would start. What I would do is I would start by explaining the gap model, like what it is, and then I would go on to say the 5 gap models that are there. List them down. These are the gap models, and then what I would do is I would take each one. Like, for example, I would take the first one, which is customer expectation versus management perception, and like take one by one and explain it. So if it's the market research gap, so I would say that's where the customers expect the immediate action and versus expect the customer expect it to happen immediately, but the management thinks you should give the service within another few days. And then I would go on to explain, give like an example. For example, I can say like for example, if you expect a check to be transferred to your account, the customer might, let's say a slip transfer, the customer might expect it to happen within 1 day, but sometimes the bank might take late to process it. So I would go on like for each and everyone, I think I would give an example like that and explain it. And then I would also say at the end how you can like close the gaps, and how you could use the gap model and like improve your service quality. You can use that to find out what are the areas that's lacking in your business, and then explain how you can use that to improve the service quality.
So first one you explained, right? The knowledge gap.
First one, yeah, the market research gap.
So basically, in this question, you have to do 3 things. First one is tell what the gap is. For example, you say the knowledge, we can observe knowledge gap which prevents us serving customers well. That knowledge gap is, and you say the difference, the gap between the understanding of the management about what customer require and what customer exactly require, right? And then, for example, you have to give the example, like as you say, the slips transfer, and then how can you bridge it to us, right? So you can say, in order to bridge this gap, the management can do this, what, like for example, conduct research, or have ECRM, or have artificial intelligence to gather information, to do research, to understand. Likewise, you can come up with something. It can be a very simple thing which you can practically do. For example, you will say you will have a simple survey done with the customers who are visiting your branch. So you will ask them very simple 2 questions. If you want a fund transfer, how fast you want it done? Now, then they might say, okay, I'm okay for 1 day. I want it instant, right? So then you can see, okay, we are thinking that customer will wait for 1 day is okay. But actually customer's real desire is to translate within instantly, right? So like us, for example, there was this conversation I came across, whereas the people are expecting a credit card, and if you really look at all the banks in the industry says 10 days. That is a average, right? In average, 10 days. So when a customer applies, he has to wait 10 days to get a credit card done. So the banks, if you ask from a banker, he might say, wait, 10 days is not a big deal, right? So what is it? I mean, like, he has to wait for some time to get it anyway. Right? So then you ask from the customer will say, okay, I want, when I want a credit card, I want it. So I want to apply, get the card and use, get the benefits. So then the banker will laugh. Do you think this is instant offer to give you cards like that? They'll laugh, right? But that is the gap. Right? The customer wants it immediately. He wants to walk into a branch and take a credit card. Whereas the banker is thinking it is not possible and he's laughing at it. Right? But there is a gap. So how do you fill the gap? Now you have to find some innovative solution. So very soon there will be an innovative solution that will come up. You will see that. Right? This is how the gaps are being created. So the bankers think, okay, this is what the customer wants. And they design the products, they design the process, they design the whole thing the way they think is okay. But when you really ask from the customer, what he wants is something else. For example, you might think the customer is traveling, and so let's give them a travel insurance. But if you really ask from the customer, he might say, okay, I'm not traveling. That's just generally my way of my lifestyle. Right? So sometimes what you think may not the lifestyle of the customer. Right? I think ඒ වගේ ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවා. දැන් මේක සමහරක් අයට පොඩි පොඩි රිසර්ච් කරනකොට ඔයගොල්ලන්ට තේරෙයි සමහර කර වයදන මේ ප්‍රොඩක්ට් එක ගන්න කෙනා මේ වගේ කෙනෙක් කියලා. But if you really look at the customer, he is not. So you will realize it only after you launch in the product. එහෙම ඒවා තියෙනවා. ඒක තමයි knowledge gap එකේ එන්නේ. ඒතකොට ඒක පුරවන්න නම් we have to gather knowledge about the customer. So gather knowledge, do the surveys, research or whatever. Right? ඒ විදිහට තමයි මේ answer එක develop වෙන්නේ. The second එක මොකක්ද? design gap එක. Deshani?
Yes, design gap. I said the approval to get the work done. Design gap, I think. Give me a second. Yeah, design gap, I told it's the management perception versus the service standards. So, for example, the service or the systems that we are giving to the customers are developed according to how the management perceive that it should be given. And then the customers should see and how we would, the customers would like, sometimes the customers might think it is time consuming the systems and all. I would say, like, for example, I would take the bank or the financial institution is saying to do something, it takes this amount of time to get the approvals inside the bank to get it done, and the time it is taken to send the information to a relevant department, and how long it takes for it to be communicated to the customer. But the customer might expect it to be done. Hello. Hello.
Hello. Sorry, Dishan, I think I went out, right? Isn't it?
Yes.
Something went wrong with the network.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Sorry about it. Just go ahead.
Yeah, so like I said, the design gap. So I would give an example where the customer would say, customer would expect it to be take the process to be done within, I think, like 2 working days. But inside the bank, the process actually takes about 3 to 4 working days, where they have to understand the matter or the request made by the customer, and they have to get an approval or talk to a manager or something. And that gap, I would say, is the design gap, the process inside the bank, and what the customer expects it to be, the time it has to be taken to get that done.
It's more towards process, the channel. So how the processes have been designed. Basically, for example, let's say like this. Now the banker thinks the customer should come.
It's 11 o'clock.
Come to the bank. We need to see the person physically. We need to see the documents physically, and then only the customer can open an account. So they design the process in that way. So they say, okay, you even if they want to open an account, now whole system was like that. They say, okay, you fill your details, but you go to the closest branch. So the customer has to fill the details, go to the closest branch with all his documents, right? And then an officer need to look at it, spend some time with him, have a chat with him, and then basically opening an account is a half-day leave minimum. Is a half-day leave minimum. Sometimes it may be one day. Now we are in the bank, so that opening an account is not a major deal because we are in the bank and we can open very simply if we go down. But if you are asked to go and open an account in another bank, imagine the situation. You have to take a leave. You have to go to that particular bank. The moment you go, it is not only for you, no. So there will be a queue. So you have to wait until the others finish. Then go there. You have to go all with your all valuable documents. You have to produce it, and then spend some time, open the account, and then it takes more than 2-3 hours. In the bank, it may be, let's say, half an hour. But for you to go to the bank and come back to your place, it is actually not half an hour. It may be 2.5 hours or 3 hours in the traffic. And the cost is not just going there, but it's transport cost and all kind of things. So the process we have designed is not what customer really want. So customer will say, see, look here, in a quarantine coffee situation, and while I'm working very hard, I have to go to the bank. Now I have to go to the bank during my working hours also. We are not working in the night. So now after my office, I can't open an account. I can't go to a branch unless we have extended banking hours, which is a limited operation. Right? So now they are thinking, why can't we open an account when we want? Right? Even at night. Right? Why can't we do it? Now, then you have to rethink the process. Now, as I told you, let me take you back to the example of the stockbroker who has sent me the link. I opened it around 11 o'clock in the night. Right? So you open it at your convenience, and then a video call comes, eKYC is done, finished. So the total process has been designed other way to suit the customer's requirement. Okay. So this is the design gap. How you have designed your processes, whether it is really meeting the customer requirement. If it is not, if there is a different requirement from the customer, then there is a gap. Then how do you address the gap? So you may be addressing the gap with eKYC, electronic banking, video banking, or whatever. So, but there is a gap. So likewise, you have to identify, okay, what is the gap? Now, for example, housing loan, you might say, okay, go for 2-3 days. Car loan, at least 2 days. So how do you reduce it? Now, for credit card, I said 10 days. How do you make it like where the customer goes, takes the card, go and buy what he wants, right? So these are sometimes there are some gaps in how you have designed the process. So the process will take the customer through the process to get the service. So he has to follow step 1, 2, 3, 4. Now step 1, 2, 3, 4, the customer might say, I don't want to follow 5 steps. I want to do it within 3 steps. I don't want to follow this particular step. This particular step is spending more time and taking more time and energy. I want to skip that. So likewise, they may be having different requirements. So you have to find out, okay, what are these gaps? Then you can redesign your process, innovative thinking, to eliminate certain processes, to make it short, and to remove certain processes which is burdening the customer, or to reduce the burden, kind of things like that. Design again. So how do you design your services, processes, right? So you can talk in that way. So I think there are a lot of other gaps. I think we'll run out of time. But you understood what is expected from you, right? In your answer?
Yes.
Right. So basically, if a question like that comes, you first talk about what is this gap, right? And then how can it happen? And then basically say, how do you bridge it and come up with an example. So then you will get full marks. And basically, don't write too much also, because if you are talking about 6 gaps, I think. Right? So you have to be very careful when you select such a question. But if such a question come, it will come with adequate marks. But then you have to write in that way also to get those marks. Remember, when you get a question like 15 marks or 20 marks, although it's a one-line question, they are expecting you to write for 20 marks. So sometimes when you get 20-mark questions and you approach it and you don't write the proper answer, you might get 5 marks. So 20-mark or 15-mark, 10-mark questions are good, but at the same time, they are a little dangerous also, right? So you have to be very careful when you approach it. You have to look at the marks that you are getting and also manage your time and the content also. Right. Okay, fine. So let's move. Thank you, Dirshani, for approaching it and sharing your knowledge. So let's move on to our discussion. This is actually to talk to you about consumer behavior. So if you really look at consumer behavior refers to the actions and decision process of people who purchase goods and services for consumption. Right. So people now, when you go to purchase a particular product for consumption, there are certain processes, steps that you follow, and there are a lot of underlying psychological processes that is running inside you before you push that sell button, right? So understanding the customer psychology and what are the influencing factors for a customer is critical for a marketer when they are trying to sell their products, because if you know how they are influenced, then it's easier for you to manipulate it or basically sell your product to the customer, right? So then if you look at another one, the mental and emotional process and the physical activities of people who purchase and use goods and services to satisfy particular needs and wants, right? So the mental and emotional process. So you have to understand the consumer behavior is by and large related to emotions. Consumers are not logical, right? So that is perfectly wrong. Give me a second. Consumers are actually not logical. There is no logical decisions when it comes to consumer decisions. Most of the decisions are basically emotional. Right? So they are driven by emotions, and logic plays a very small role. I'm not telling they're not logical at all, but they're logical, but largely driven with emotions, because they are also animals, right? We are also animals, and generally the emotions plays a major role, right? So the consumer behavior, if you really look at, it talks about the behavior that consumers display in searching for, right? So how they search, right? Purchasing, evaluating, and disposing of products. So searching, purchasing products, evaluating, and disposing of products. Now disposing also matters. At what point you are disposing, right? So are you thinking to dispose within 1 year, within 6 months, 2 years, so on and so forth. Now there was this advertisement on toothbrushes, if you can remember, that the child says, my father is still using the toothbrush which is broken. Right? So it gives a message to people. See, when it comes to toothbrushes, you see these signs, throw it away and buy a new one. So they must know at what point it should be thrown away also. So if they don't know at what point they have to get rid of the product, they not go for the new one, right? And sometimes getting rid of the product drives your purchasing decision also. So sometimes you will look at a particular thing and say, okay, I'm going to buy this because I'm not going to use this for years. I'm going to use it only for 1 or 2 months. Sometimes you say, okay, I'm going to buy this because I'm going to use it for another 10 years. So I want to keep it, right? So likewise, based on your, you might look at it in terms of like when to dispose, right? So remember that also plays a major role, right? So searching, purchasing, evaluating, and disposing of products, right? And then if you really ask the question, what is the difference between the consumer and the customer? As you know, I told that earlier also, the customer is a person who buys the product. He might buy it for his usage or for the usage of someone else, right? But consumer is a person who buy the product for his own usage, right? So it can be the consumer who's buying for the personal usage or for the organizational usage, right? For example, a customer obtaining a credit card for the personal use, right? So that when the customer takes the credit card, he's going to use it for his use, to purchase goods and services, right? So it becomes his product, right? So when a customer comes and buy a bun for him to eat, he's a consumer, right? So likewise, and then the customer is completely different. He may be buying it for his for someone else or to gift to someone, right? Or basically basically for someone else's use. For example, bank buying stationery for the use at branch, right? A parent opening a minor savings account for the kid, so things like that, right? So that's the difference. So consumer is a person who buys the product and consumes it, right? So he experienced the total product. Now, if you look at customer decision-making styles, there were 8 consumer decision-making styles that has been introduced by Kendall's, Sproul's and Kendall's, right? So if you really look at it, they are perfectly different from each other. Perfectionist is a high quality conscious customer, right? They are people who search for the best quality products. And generally these type of people, they are shopping very systematic manner. Basically good enough is not enough for them. They want the best, right? So they are people who will even pay a premium to go for the best product, right? So now these are the customers that you find when it comes to your premium circles, right? And high-end cards, right? So they are not bothered about the price that they pay, but they want the best service. And basically, they will not tolerate mistakes. They will not tolerate some negligence, right? So these are totally different types of customers who will value reliability in a very high level, right? And then you have brand conscious customers who look for well-known national or international brands, right? So they believe high price reflects high quality, right? So if you see a brand conscious customer, he's really worried about the brand of the bank that he is patronizing with. So when it comes to his checkbook, when it comes to his credit card, he's worried about which bank he is going to take it, right? And he will not just buy the credit card for the utility value, but he will go for the brand, right? So they might spend little more money and go for sometimes a foreign brand or well-known brand, right? So they are brand conscious. So they feel that they whatever they flashes out should reflect the brand that they patronize and their personality with that, right? The next one is novelty or the fashion conscious consumers. Now these are people who are worried about the newness, right? So they like to have different products, new products, right? And the latest style latest design, kind of things like that. So they are basically people who go for the new ones, new products, right? Then you have recreational and hedonistic shopping conscious customers. Now, hedonistic shopping conscious customers are people who enjoy shopping, right? They actually engage in shopping for fun, right? So they really enjoy shopping, and sometimes they might have some impulse buying, but what they really like is to go around, have looking for products, enjoying understanding or looking at different products. Then you have impulsive careless customers. They are not planning, they don't plan, they just go and they try to buy what they want without a plan, right? And they have more impulse, right? So when they see something, they are driven, they will buy it. And when they want something, they will just go to the shop and they will buy it. Right? So these are impulsive customers. They don't plan. Now there are some clients in your with you also like that, right? When they go to the supermarkets, they will buy certain things which they have never planned, and you may be also falling into that. And sometimes you go there and you feel like, okay, we'll take a chocolate also, we'll take some marshmallows also. This oil looks good, so let me try this out. So kind of things like that. You have not planned anything, but you just go into the shop and you buy certain things when you see. Then you have confused type of customers, right? They look at a lot of brands in the shop. They have a lot of choices, and they take a lot of information, and basically they are overloaded with information, and they are actually analyzing. They are analyzing and analyzing and analyzing, and they are finding it very difficult to come to a conclusion. And actually, these type of customers, the sales agents need a lot of persuasion to push them to the decision. Sometimes, if a good salesperson comes and supports them to take the decision towards in favor of the brand, you can basically drive them also, right? Because they are highly confused. So someone coming and trying to help them will certainly trigger a purchase. Then you have habitual, brand loyal customers. Now these are customers who will buy out of habit, or basically bank out of habit, right? So they will not shop. As if they want a housing loan, they'll come to you. If they feel that they want a credit card, they'll come to you. Why they are saving with you? They have no particular answer. They say, okay, I have been with the bank for a long time, so I'm just continuing, right? That's all, right? So these are habitual, brand loyal customers, right? So you have to understand these different types of customers, and these different types of customers require different types of approaches from the bank or from the merchant. So basically, when studying the consumer behavior process, you can go into this particular diagram and study that. Give me a second. Right, sorry about it. So there are several models that has been developed, but I have taken the Engel, Blackwell, and Miniard model to discuss this. So if you really look at it, you find that the key decision process, right? So you have need recognition, right? So this is where the need is recognized, right? And then when the need is recognized, you go on to the search process, right? And then you go on to pre-purchase evaluation, and then the purchase happens, right? And after that, the consumption, right? And then post-consumption evaluation, right? So post-consumption evaluation will lead to satisfaction, dissatisfaction, or divestment, where the customer will shift the brand, right? So search, when it comes to search, it can happen as an internal search, or it can happen as an external search. So internal search refers to memory and whatever that you have about the past experience, right? And then external search refers to what you find from outside, right? And then when you are doing this, there are influences. So the environmental influences are there, like the culture, social class, personal influence, family and situation. Then you have individual influences, differences, that is consumer, the difference of consumers, and then resources, availability of resources, motivation and involvement, knowledge, consumer knowledge, attitude, personality, values and lifestyle. So these are going to influence these stages, the key stages. So if you really look at the key stages, the key stages can be found here, right? So key stages are here. We look at it. So need recognition, search, pre-purchase evaluation of alternatives, purchase, consumption, post-consumption evaluation, right? So these are being influenced. Right. So let's look at it in a simple way. So the consumer behavior, if you look at the consumer behavior, the buying behavior of final consumers, individuals and households who buy goods and services for personal or household consumption. So this is how you can look at the consumer buying behavior. So it all starts with the need recognition. So as I have told you, first it starts with the need recognition. So what is a need? Need is a gap between the current status and the desired status, right? Need is the gap between current status and the desired status. For example, that you are hungry, so that is the current status. So your desired status is to flee of hunger, right? Stomach full, right? So then for you to go to the situation where you feel that you are now satisfied and you are not hungry, you need to fill this gap. And so right now you have no food, you are hungry, so you have to go for a situation where your stomach full and then not hungry, right? So there is a need. There is a need. That is, need is to go from hungry to not hungry status. In order to fill this need, you need a product. You need a product. But important thing is that this particular gap will not be a real driver for you to go for the next level. What is the next level? That is the search, right? Search for a product. It will not be a driver for you to go to the next level unless it will pass a particular threshold. පොඩි බඩගිනියාවට අපි එහෙම කෑම හොයාගෙන දුවන්නේ නැහැ නේ. ඒක අපිට හොඳට බඩගින්නක් එන්න ඕන. හොඳට බඩගින්නක් ආවොත් then there is a need. Then you say මට දැන් හොඳට බඩගිනි මට දැන් නම් කන්න ඕන. right? දැන් මොනවා හරි කන්න හොයන්න ඕන. right? So you have to pass that threshold for it to become for the need to become a real need, right? So otherwise the gap can be there. චූටි බඩගින්නක් තියෙන්න පුළුවන් අපිට ඒකට ඒක ලොකු වල දැනෙන්නේ නැහැ. අපි ඒක ලොකුට ගණන් ගන්නෑ, right? But එක වෙලාවකට පස්සේ අපිට හිතනවා දැන් කන්න ඕන කියලා හිතනවා, right? අනේ ඒ level එක තමයි එන්න ඕනේ. ඒතකොට ඒ level එකේ threshold එක පැන්නම තමයි අපිට ඒක need එකක් වෙන්නේ. Until that particular threshold is crossed, it is not a major need for us. It doesn't trigger us. Right? So I am hungry. Yes. Now there is a need. The need is that I am hungry and I need to become full stomach. So now I need to go for a product. So may threshold you are trying to search something to fulfill this need. Need then comes the wants. The hungry is the need. You are hungry and now you are thinking how to fill this gap. Now this is where it is, right? Hungry. Right? So now you are trying to fill the gap. Then you have choices. You will think, okay, I can go for pizza, I can go for rice, I can go for bread, I can go for fish bar. Now these are different options that is available. Now these are wants. So you can decide, okay, I'm hungry, that's my need. What I want a pizza, I want a rice, I want bread, I want fish bar, right? So your wants are things that are created by the marketers, right? So when you get this need, to fulfill this need, you want this, right? So wants, right? So wants are basically things created by the marketers, for the consumers to go and fulfill their requirements, right? So hungry. So now I am sure now you understand the difference between the need and wants. Basically you can't play with needs. Needs are innate. It's inside the human being, right? So needs are like psychological or physiological. You can't create needs as a marketer. But what you can do is you can help customer to discover his need. Right? For example, there can be a customer who's not much worried about his appearance. So you can go and say, see, look here, you worry about your appearance, groom yourself well, then you can attract other people. Now you have triggered a need. You have not created it. It is anyway inside him. Right? He has not recognized it as a need. So you go and tell him, okay, if you want to be a good corporate executive, you need to look nice. Therefore, you have to worry about grooming. Now you have triggered it. So you can help customers to discover their needs. Then the other one is that basically you can identify their needs. Right? Okay, you can basically make them, give them solutions to their needs. You can't create needs, right? Because it's anyway inside you. But you can create wants. Wants are different options, right? So there is a need in this customer, physiological need, that is to eat or basically fulfill hunger. So you can come up with pizza, rice, bread, fish bun as options. So you can say, okay, when you are hungry, think of pizza, like the munchie or body butter ginnata cream cracker, right? Body butter ginnata cream cracker. එතකොට පොඩි බඩගින්න කියන නීඩ් එක හදලා නැහැ. ඒක කොහොමද කල් මිනිසුන් දෙනවා. ඒකට පොඩි බඩගින්න ආපුවම එයාට මතක් කරවනවා ක්‍රීම් කැකරයක් කන්න. Right? Someone else might say ඉඟුරු බිස්කට්. Someone it might come up with something else. Right? යහපෝස. මොකක් කරේ ගේන්න පුළුවන්. Right? නැත්නම් වතුර එකක් බොන්න. කියලා කියන්නත් පුළුවන් සමහරක්. Right? So likewise, the need you can't create, but when the need comes, the solutions you can create. That is where the marketers come into play, right? So remember, needs are innate, you can't create it, but wants you can create. Then what is demand? Demand are wants backed by the ability to buy, right? So you have needs, then you have wants. Now these wants should have, the customer should have the ability to buy what he wants. Then only demand is created. Otherwise, there is no demand, right? Because there can be a situation where you have a want, but you don't have money. Then there is no demand. For example, you want to go in a Mercedes-Benz instead of your present car, but you don't have money. So you will not create demand for Mercedes-Benz. Let's say that you want to go for Maruti, you have Alto car, you have money, then the demand is created. So you can have desires, you can have your wants, but if you don't have money, it won't become demand. So your wants should be backed by your ability to buy for a particular brand to get demand, right? So there are customers who want loans, but they don't have repayment capacity. So then there is no demand created. There are customers who want to buy credit cards, but there is no minimum income. So there is no demand created, right? So unless you have you are qualified, or basically you have the money, you can't buy it, or if you are not eligible, you can't. Sometimes eligibility also matters, right? Now, for example, if you are under 18, you will not create demand for cigarettes or liquor, because even though you have money, even though you have the desire, you can't buy because you are restricted. So you should have the ability to buy also. The money as well as the you should be qualified. You should be qualified to buy, right? Otherwise you can't. For example, you may be wanting to do an MBA, but if you don't have a primary qualification or experience, you can't do it. You want it, but you're not qualified. So you need to get qualified, and you need to have money in order for you to create demand for a particular brand or a product, right? Then, so we learned about needs, wants, and demand. So needs can be categorized into different types, right? That is psychological and physiological. Give me a second. That is psychological and physiological, right? So physiological, you have biogenic needs. Primary needs, people are born with a need for a certain elements necessary, right? For example, food, water, shelter, sex. So these are physiological needs, right? And you have psychological needs, you call psychogenic. These are like mental requirements, like the mental processes or the psychological requirements. Certain things like your requirement to become affiliate or to have a circle of friends, socialize, to be a member of a particular group, culture, status, power, affiliation. So these are psychological needs. So when it comes to buying products, you have to look at both these needs, why they really buy it, right? And sometimes a particular need becomes dominant, right? So particular need becomes dominant, and that is the need you are addressing with your product, right? For example, when you sell a credit card, if you sell a normal credit card, the silver card, you may be looking at this really the utility value, but maybe when you go for the branded credit cards, he's going there for status. Or if he is going for an affinity card or a co-branded card for affiliation. So there can be psychological needs like that, right? And actually marketers are basically thriving on these psychological needs, right? So they create these type of situations. Basically, they actually help customers to understand that they have this particular need. For example, then there is a customer who doesn't worry about status. They go and say, okay, see, look here, you are at this stage, you need a branded watch, right? So all this time he never had that need, but then now he feels that, okay, I need to show my status. Now to show the status, now what he will do is he will now go for a branded watch. So now they have created the gap that is present. He doesn't have a branded watch, the desire to have a branded watch. So as a result of that, there's a gap, and the brands will come and address the gaps, like the Tag Heuer, Rolex, so on and so forth. So the customer will pay a price to fill the gap and buy a branded watch. So that why he is actually buying the watch is not because he wants a watch, but he wants status. So the real need is his need for status. Did the marketer create it? No, it was there inside him anyway, but he actually helped him to discover it, or he actually increased the intensity of the threshold, intensity to cross the threshold, right? මෙච්චර කාලේ එක තිබුණා ඒක කොහොමද අපේ හැමෝගෙම ඇතුලේ තියෙන ඔය ස්ටේටස් එකේ නීඩ් එක, right? හැබැයි කවුරු හරි කියලා ඒක උලුප්පලා අරගෙන දුන්නම තමයි ඒකේ threshold එක පැනලා අපිට ඒක ලොකෝට දැනෙන්න පටන් ගන්නවා, right? ඒකට අපි ඒකට යනවා. ඉතින් මේක තමයි හුඟක් තැන්වල වෙන්නේ. So ඒකේ so if you really look at marketers, they create fantasies, and people live in fantasies. and that is where the price is being paid, or price is being, the profits are absorbed, right? So I think it's part of it. It's part of the game, right? So if you really look at psychological needs, you can identify some psychological needs where we can talk about three dominant needs. First one is need for power, right? So these are people who want control, right? So they want control over the environment that they live in. They want the things to do the way they want, right? So in Maslow's hierarchy, this is equal to ego or self-esteem needs, right? So basically, for these type of people, you will have messages like you have control, you can get anything done, right? Basically, they will feel when you have that, feel the power, right? For these type of people, you can say, okay, when you have this credit card, you can buy anything, right? You can go to any place in the world. So you are addressing the power need, right? So to have the control to do whatever he want, right? Kind of things like that. So when it comes to some premium brands like the BMW, Benz, you see this is being used. Then another psychological need can be the affiliation, right? The consumer behavior in this type is highly influenced by friendships, acceptance in the society, social aspects of the relationships, right? These are actually similar to social needs of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Basically, they want to be a part of the group, right? Part of the group. And you can see this is in the banking sector where you have co-branded or affinity cards, right? So there are companies, there are cards that have patronized with all boys, all girls associations of certain colleges, and then they come up with a affinity card, right? They might say Ananda affinity card, Royal College affinity card, Nalanda affinity card, Visakha. So likewise, they will talk about, or they will associate with the professional organization. They might come and say, oh, BASL affinity card, or they might say, okay, medical doctors affinity card. So then when that credit card is taken, they feel that they are part of the society, right? Part of the group, right? And there can be even co-branded, like the bank and another company, another brand, bank and Toyota, bank and Mercedes-Benz. Likewise, they can partner with another profit-making company, another brand, and come up with a co-brand card. So basically, what will happen is you will feel that you are part of the group, right? You are part of the group, and when you flash the card, everybody else will see, okay, this person is part of the group, right? For example, if you flash the Mercedes-Benz co-brand card, even at a restaurant, the person will know, okay, you are a person who's driving a Mercedes-Benz. If you flash the BASL affinity card, the people will say, okay, everybody will know that you are a lawyer, anybody who will take the card, right? So likewise, it gives you some identity. So you feel that you're part of it, right? So that is the reason that sometimes they buy it, right? And if you really look at certain branded products, like so branded products are being sold because they want to be a part of it. Certain jerseys, T-shirts, caps, right? With branded with brands, right? And certain, let's say, the cricket colors, or the T-shirt, same T-shirt, the same lookalike T-shirt, what the cricket players are wearing. When you put it on sale, people buy, right? So they also want to be like be a part of the cricket team, although they don't play, right? So that's the affiliation need. Then you have achievements. Now, for example, even in bank, you will have the branded gifts, right? So sometimes you sell it for the staff. The staff will prefer to buy the branded gift because they want to feel that they are part of the bank. And when they give it to others also, they want to feel that they are giving it something that they are part of, right? So that's affiliation. Then you have achievement needs, right? Where the customer feel that when you have that product, he has achieved it, right? It is the accomplishment, his accomplishment. So similar to self-esteem needs in Maslow's hierarchy, right? So basically, when you have that particular brand, you feel that you are achieved, right? You are achieved. So there are people who say, okay, I have a dream to have a Rolex watch. I have a dream to have an Apple phone. I have a dream to go in a BMW. Now, what they're talking is about their dreams, where when they have the product, they feel they have achieved. Okay, I achieved it. I've done, right? So they will try to go for the product, and going for the product is motivated by their need for achievement, right? To show achievements to others, right? So this is another need. So 3 dominant needs: power, affiliation, achievements, and marketers can address these. Marketers can address, right? So marketers can address power needs, affiliation needs, achievement needs based on the consumer type, right? So this is a classic way of looking at it. So the need, let's take a few of the achievement: accomplish tasks, succeed and overcome obstacles. This is the need. Then characteristics: do the best and hard work in any undertaking, be able to do things better than others. So what is the promotional application? Messages that encourage and illustrate success, right? So that you will see that you have achieved a degree and you are celebrating it, or else you have done something and you're getting an award, right? Those type of advertisements will be seen here, right? Then let's say the power dominance. These type of people want control, influence, and lead others. So they seek leadership, supervise, and different the actions of others. So what kind of a promotional application you can have? Messages showing actual or symbolic dominance, being a chief executive officer, owning a powerful car, right? And basically chairing a meeting. So those kind of things will be shown here, right? So that will address their requirement. So likewise, the marketers can understand what is the customer dominant need of the customer and address it when it comes to their promotions and as well as communication. So this can change from culture to culture also. Now this is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So if you really look at it for the Western culture, you have physiological needs first: food, shelter, kind of things like that, physiological needs. Then you need safety needs. Then belongingness, right? Part of the group. And then prestige, and then self-actualization. So these are social needs, right? If you look at the Asian context, you have psychological needs, safety needs, and then they also want to be a part of a group, affiliation. Then they like people to admire them, admiration, right? So they seek admiration, and then at the top they want the status to be someone who will be looked at and dominate things, right? So there are differences like that when it comes to the culture to culture as well. Again, the consumer motivation can also be divided into 2 parts: utilitarian parts, where the products are bought for usage. Right? If you really look at B2B, business to business products, or the marketing, you will see that the utilitarian function takes dominance, and because they are not buying for them, they are buying for the organization, and they are looking at whether the product will meet the requirement and what is the price. So whether the job is done, that's what they want, right? They're not bothered about other things. Then another need can be hedonism, right? So these people are like, they want comfort over performance, right? For example, if they are going for a restaurant, they would like to have the food very quickly and are very tasty ones. They are not too much bothered about nutritional value, right? So they will say, okay, nutritional value, yes, it is good, but I want to have a very tasty food, right? And I want it quickly, right? Kind of things like that, right? So they are driven by need for pleasure and comfort. So if you really look at hedonic shopping motivations, you can find different motivations why they shop. Some people, they like adventure, right? So they consider shopping thrilling, right? They seek excitement. Some people, they go for shopping for socialization, right? To enjoy the time with family, friends, and basically to socialize. Some people shop for gratification. That is to basically release their stress and improve the mood, right? So they will just shop around to improve their mood and release the stress. Then some people shop for ideas. So they want to update themselves with new trends. So they just go around looking for products, trying to learn about products, and then keep themselves updated, and they enjoy it. Then, there is role shopping. Role shopping, basically, they are shopping for gifts. They shop for others. Right? So they, when it comes to the season, April season and December, you find these type of shoppers, basically shopping for others to give gifts. Then there are some value seekers. Now here we are not telling that they are looking at the cheapest price. No, that is not the case. They are looking for deals, right? Bargains, and they consider it's a challenge. So if you reduce the price and take, they feel very happy, right? So these are some motives that drives the hedonic shopping. So if you really look at this model, we were talking about need recognition, right? So once the need recognition happens, when a person finds that he has a real need, then he will go for information search. Now, information search can happen in two ways. First thing is to look at your memory and your experience, past experience. So you will try to recall where you have seen some solutions, right? So let's say that if you have a need to buy a land, now you're thinking, going the land again, from where I should buy a land. Then you will look at your internal memory. Then you might recall a particular advertisement that you have watched about land sales. Okay, you might think about, okay, prime lands. They have been advertising. Why don't I call them, right? It might come into that. Or you might think, okay, some relative of you or a friend of you have bought a land. Or recently a customer has bought a land. And he have come and told you some experience. He may have told you, I had a good experience, I got a good land from this company. So he's now thinking, all right, my brother got it, my friend got it, my customer got it from this particular company. So I can also look at that company. So these are all past experience, what you have heard, what you have seen. Or you may have taken a land sometime back from a particular company, and now you want to take another land. Now you are thinking, okay, I bought a land from this company, I had a good experience. Why not I try it again? That is repeat purchase, right? So basically, when you want to find information, first you look at your internal memory, right? And you start thinking, right? So if you have something internally in your memory, that will first trigger you, right? Now that is where the advertisements are vital, right? So when you do advertisements, when you give communication about your products and services, those things go and store in the minds of the customer, so that when they want something, when they look at their internal memory, they might your brand might trigger and they might think of it, right? And then we are here, right? Need recognition, the search, right? So then internal search. So you basically look at your memory, right? And if it is not possible, then you go to external search, right? You go to external search. Now in the external search, what you do is you basically go around and then try to find out information about certain options that you have, right? So you might refer to TV, radio, paper, classified advertisements. Then you might talk to your friends, family, and then perhaps to some consultants to find out a product, right? And then you basically get exposure about various external stimuli, right? And then once you get exposed to these various external stimuli, some will get your attention, and then when you go through it, you will try to you will understand what the offer is, and then if you accept it, then you find that it is the best solution. Then it will be that whatever you have gone through will be retained in your memory, right? So external search will feed into the internal memory for you to have options, right? So so that's it. So then all these things are, as I told you, largely influenced by the individual factors and environmental factors. Now, under individual factors, when you are looking at all these things, it is important that you understand about attitude. The attitude, if you really look at it, it's how you look at something. So for you to understand it, you can look at some functions of attitudes, right? So attitude functions, as Daniel Katz said, we can look at 4 functions. First one is the utilitarian function. This is created to the basic principle of reward and punishment. Consumers base their attitude on whether the product provides pleasure or pain. So basically, they will obtain a credit card to purchase goods for credit. They will obtain a credit card to get discounts. Obtain credit card to enjoy luxuries and comfort, right? So basically, their requirement is to use it and enjoy the facility. Then the other attitude can be the value expressive function. These attitudes also express consumers' core values or self-concept, right? Person forms an attitude for a product based on what the product says about them. Highly relevant to lifestyle. For example, they will obtain a credit card from a foreign bank, not because they want a card, but because they want to show that they are part of that particular foreign bank, right? And they use as a foreign brand so that they want to reflect their status with it. So they will try to have a checkbook from the #1 bank in Sri Lanka or a global bank, right? Or they are worried about having a better credit card brand. So they're worried about what the value that the product is expressing when they purchase. Then you have ego defensive function, attitudes that are formed to protect the person. Right? This is from external and internal feelings. Right? For example, skincare products, deodorants, mouthwash. So these are basically addressing ego defensive function. So he wants to feel protected. He wants to feel that I will not be rejected by the society, and he wants to feel good about him. Right? So then these are addressing this ego defensive function. So for example, account at a foreign bank, they feel, okay, fine. If I have account at a foreign bank, I will be able to travel around the world and I can get business done with global companies. Right? So accounts at the premium banking unit. Now they say, okay, I want to be a premium customer of the bank. I don't want to be a normal customer. Sometimes you might say, okay, I'm worried about my money, therefore I'll go and open an account at a state bank so that I have some protection. So to protect your own feelings and protect you from what other external people feel about you, right? So that to do that, you have a certain attitude which drives you to buy products. Then you have knowledge function, whereas you look at the amount of knowledge you have before you purchase a product. So when you have more knowledge about the product, you tend to purchase the product because you will create a positive attitude. So the attitude can be looked at with the tri-component model. So here we say that the attitude is having 3 functions, 3 areas. The cognitive component, this is actually what you believe about a brand or a product, right? So the knowledge and the perception for an object. For example, you will say, okay, taking a loan is good, because some people they don't like loans, right? But some people say taking a loan is good. Some people say foreign banks are good when doing global business, so they will always try to go for a foreign bank, because they feel if they are with a foreign bank, they are better off when it comes to global business. So that's a perception again, right? Then you have affective component. How do you feel about the brand or the product? Basically, your emotions and feelings about an object. For example, you may be happy to have a foreign bank card. Right? So when you have that card, you feel happy. Okay, I'm part of this global brand, right? Or it can be a situation where you are proud to have a local bank account. You say, okay, no, I'm proud that I'm a local, I'm a Sri Lankan, right? And then it can be a situation where you are not happy to pay interest. Right? Interest is halal, so I will not pay interest. Right? Interest is haram, no? Haram, not good. Right? So I will not pay interest. I will not pay interest. So when you offer a particular product with interest,
It's 12 o'clock.
Feels bad about it. Feels ugly about it. Right? Then you have cognitive component. What is your intention to buy the product? Likelihood that a customer will take an action. So when you come certain customers, they say, I will obtain a card when I can from a foreign bank. Now, I don't go to local banks. Sometimes they might say, okay, I will open accounts with a government bank. I'm not going to go for private banks. So they are likelihood of taking actions. So if you really look at how you will buy, it's basically whether you will have a positive attitude towards a brand or a negative attitude. So you will have a positive attitude towards a brand if you feel the brand is good, right? Brand is good, and you enjoy having the brand. And if you think, that is a cognitive component, if you think the product is good, right? And then if you feel that buying it is going to fulfill your requirements. So you must think positive, you must feel positive, and you must act positive. So then we can say you have a positive attitude towards a particular brand. But if you think negative, and if you feel negative, you will act negatively, then that means you are having a negative attitude towards the brand. So after searching certain options, now once you have a need, you will go in for search, and after searching internally and externally, right, then you will recognize the requirement to evaluate alternatives. So you have collected information, and you have a lot of information about different banks or brands, the products. So now you are evaluating. So this evaluation will happen based on the customer in completely a different way, and it differs from customer to customer. So after evaluating, you will decide whether to buy or not, right? Whether to buy or not, and which brand to buy. All those things will be decided. That is a purchase decision. Then comes the post-purchase evaluation. So after the purchase, the buyer will start comparing it with the expectations, right? So when he compares with the expectations, if the expectations have been exceeded, he's delighted, have been met, he's satisfied, not met, he's dissatisfied, or he will move away from the brand, right? So this is how the purchasing happens. So each stage, the banker or the marketer can play with, right? For example, post-purchase evaluation, marketer can get involved. The marketer can send him messages, you have taken a wise decision, right? By obtaining this, right? And reinforce the message. You have taken a wise decision, right? You got the best deal, right? So things like that will reinforce. And basically, when it comes to the purchase decision, you say you take a rational decision. You're going to be with the best bank. You're going to have the best interest rates, right? So give some support for the customer using your USP or your strengths to take the purchase decision. Evaluation also you can chip in, right? You can say, okay, the wisest choice, right? Best choice, the responsible choice. So you can actually in all these stages chip in and manipulate the behavior of the customer, right? If you look at the business to business market, it is completely different. It is different from individual market. So these are individuals and groups that purchase certain products for resale or reuse, right? Directly or by producing another product, right? So organizational buying behavior is completely different from individuals, right? So basically they have decision making units, right? Decision making units which actually drive the decision to buy or a product, right? So they have users who are actually using the product. For example, if the bank is buying a photocopy machine, it is you who uses it, and if it is not user friendly for you, and if the particular organization has not given you training, you will not see the value of the photocopy machine, and you might complain, right? So users are the people who are really using it. And then you have influencers when it comes to corporate purchasing. That is the people who are actually influencing the decision making process, right? Like the procurement managers, right? Or the senior managers, right? Sometimes even the account clerks and procurement clerks, right? So although they don't take the decision, they can influence the decision, right? Giving certain suggestions, giving certain the way that they present the proposal, things like that. Then you have buyers. The buyers are the people who actually have the authority to buy, right? So they will select the supplier and they will arrange terms of purchase. Then you have decision-making units, the people who are approving, right? So even in the banks, you have approving authorities. So based on the amount of investment, so they are the people who give the final approval. Then you have gatekeepers. Now, when you try to approach a business organization for selling, it's not as easy as that you're approaching a consumer market. You have to go through a lot of people who will put barriers for you to finally come to the level of bidding for an offer, right? It can be the secretaries, it can be the procurement managers, it can be even clerks, right? Who will not allow you to go to the key members of the buying center, right? So you have to manage them in order to win corporate businesses, right? So in corporate businesses also, they go through a particular process. They first recognize the problem, the need, and then they will generally take a description as to what the requirement is, then product specifications. Then once they get the product specifications, they float RFPs. RFPs are requests for proposals. And then it goes to potential suppliers. Then the suppliers will evaluate the request for proposals, the requirements given, and then they will submit the proposal. So once they submit the proposal, the proposals will be evaluated, and then the suppliers will be selected. So once the suppliers are selected, then the order will be placed, right? Purchase order will be placed, and after that the goods will be delivered. Then after receiving the goods, you go for the post-purchase analysis. That is the performance review. So this is the simple, in a very simple form, how organizations buy. So if you really look at the key differences between the consumer market and the business market, in the business market you have few people, players, but large buyers. So they buy in large quantities. They are generally geographically concentrated compared to normal consumers because they are in major cities, and especially in Colombo and major cities. So you don't have to go cover a large geographical area to meet these people. Then they have derived demand, that these people are not demanding for their usage, but they are demanding for someone else's usage or to make some other product. So basically with these organizational buyers, you need to keep a close supplier-customer relationship. Remember, organizational buying is more professional compared to consumer buying. Consumer buying, I told you, is by and large driven by emotions. But when it comes to the corporate buying, it's more towards logic, right? So they are very professional, and they will employ professionals to make the decisions, such as the engineers to think when they are purchasing machines, software, and people who are experts in that area. Then multiple buying influences will be there. As I told you, there will be influencers, decision makers, gatekeepers who will influence the decision. Then generally these people will directly purchase, right? And the purchase motive is not consumption, but to give it to someone else to be used at the normal business operation, or to use it as a raw material to produce another product, right? So this is how the difference between the consumer and business buying, right? So with this, we are coming to end of the session. The whatever the theory parts are over, right? So basically it's then the exam, right? Okay, fine. So I hope that you may have gone through the past papers. Do you all have any questions with regard to the papers? Okay, fine. So I think if you really look at it, we actually did an introduction to CRM. So if you look at past papers, there are popular questions like what is CRM, right? How the CRM is supporting organizations, the benefits, right? How do you use CRM in your branch? How can you apply it? Kind of things like that. Then we talked about satisfaction and loyalty. There were questions on that. What is the difference? We did a model question last week, right? Then there will be questions from service quality management. So what is service quality? How do you improve it? What are the dimensions? Then the gap model. Gap model, of course, there can be questions. Then you had service recovery, right? So in the service recovery, what are the different strategies? Service recovery paradox, right? And then complaint management. So those things will be there. Then you have implementation. So implementation of CRM, how do you manage the change? What are the steps in implementing a CRM program in your organization, right? Those things can come in. And then you had sessions on IT, right? So benefits of how IT can help in CRM, then benefits of AI-driven CRM, social CRM, sometimes what are the challenges. So those things are the possible questions. Right? So I have taken 2 questions from your model questions, and I told you how to answer. So basically what you can do is you can go through the notes, and you have certain topics that is being taught. You can do your own study, do your own research. There are no right or wrong answers. You can justify your answers, but for your answer to be right, it has to be properly justified. So you have a very free hand to express your answers, but those have to be done with the proper knowledge, right? You can't just write like a layman. And if you don't support your answers with some theoretical knowledge, and then support your answers with practical examples, sometimes you may not get full marks, right? So always try to learn what I told you. When you're approaching a question, look at the amount of marks that is given to you, and looking at the marks, you can decide the extent you have to write. And when you are writing, remember to have the introduction, theory, then the practical application, and then the end or the conclusion, right? So if you write it in that way, there won't be a problem. So I have shared my number to most of you, and some of you have sent your numbers to me, so I have saved those. So those who have sent me numbers and I have saved, you all can always ask questions from me. I'll try to create a group also. Even if I don't create a group, I am on WhatsApp. You can always ask me any question. until the exam. So during the exam, don't text me. I'm not going to give you the answers. But before that, if you have any clarification, any requirement, you can always call me and get my support, right? So I'll be available for you. Anything else that you want to clarify? Or we can call it a day. Dilshan, you have anything to clarify?
No, sir, I'm good.
Right, okay. Rangana?
No, sir. Thanks.
Right. Chaminda? You are okay? Dilusha, you are okay?
Yes, sir. I'm okay.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Chaminda. Visista, you are okay? Anything to clarify?
Okay.
Fine.
Oh.
So there won't be anything out of what we have taught. It will be, the questions will be from areas that we have already discussed. So try to go through the areas that we have discussed and explore more on those areas. Then you'll be able to pass the exam. So I wish all of you to have a good pass. Right. So thank you very much. So let's close the session.